Welcome back, everyone. Christian Shreve, bestboxingbets.com. I am also the author of Money Boxing. Let's have a brief heavyweight update. Romain Stavern has just faced Chris Arreola. And for those of you who are in the tout training program and are developing boxing bet predictors, I'm going to list him as an official selection to follow his career. I think he is a grand example of what we should be following. He is newly number 10 in the Ring magazine, which is the only legitimate rating system in the world. And he has just defeated Chris Arreola. I think it makes sense to follow his career as an example because we're going to see some things very quickly. He's someone who developed at a good pace, had a little bit of early setback and rough going there. As he put it together, he brought in a team Team Stavern is well established, and he is an exciting fighter with talent who's finding his way gradually at the world-class level. And I think that we're going to see some things that we can reflect back upon later. For instance, are we looking at a fighter who intends to be the heavyweight champion of the world, or is the focus on getting him a title shot? Now, some people say that, hey, if you get a big money shot, you should just take it. Maybe. But as a fighter, the psyche is so important, and if you've developed at the world-class level an idea that you might be invincible, that you might be able to beat everyone, and that's taken before you have a chance to adjust, it can be a real setback, and sometimes you never recover from it. Now, when we look at Stavern, we see that this is a guy with, I mean, for the way he's built, as big and solid as he is, to have that type of whipping speed and real decent power, and the way he's putting his game together. You know, they said at the world-class level he was facing the older fighters, which he should be doing, and then they took him back, and to quote them, they said they polished the diamond, and he came in looking very, very good against Chris Arreola. Are they going to put him at the world-class level against people who can at least estimate the style of Vladimir Klitschko, a perimeter mover? You know, he has enough power that if he lands right, and he has enough speed to land, he might be able to get Vladimir in trouble. No one can imitate Vitaly. There's never been anyone like him in the heavyweight division, and he appears to have a titanium jaw, so you won't be getting him out of there probably with any power. But against Vladimir, he might have a chance if he's allowed to develop. And if he isn't, he has a real problem. So we're going to follow him. We're going to see what the emphasis is. Do we throw him to the dogs and gamble on his career, or is he developed in a manner of someone befitting his formidable talent? Chris Arreola at this point, boy, what do you say? He reminds me of the prominent heavyweights in the 1980s. Names like Tim Witherspoon, Tony Tubbs, Greg Page, James Broad. These fighters all had formidable gifts and talents, but they didn't have the discipline to follow up with it. None of them was more talented. In fact, from 80 to 85, there was no greater heavyweight talent than Greg Page. But his reign atop the big man, his co-reign, was about that long. In fact, it was said as Riddick Bowe turned pro, and they were assessing his discipline, someone said, "I smell Greg Page." And it stirred him. It was considered an insult. Well, with Chris Arreola, for those of you who make your money in sports investment, here's the magic number, 237. If he weighs 237 or above, even if you were planning to invest on him, don't. He will slow down rapidly. He's a great personality, the most colorful adult interviews after a fight that you may ever hear. He has immense heart, size, fundamentals. He's a thudding puncher. We thought he might end up being an actual puncher. He doesn't have devastating power. We rank him now. We thought he might end up at 17 out of 20. We rank him at 16 out of 20. But he has the ability to do so much better. Now, when he received his big opportunity against Vitaly Klitschko, he allegedly took a week off training. I'm just leaving. I'm not ready for the big time. And then he took a long time off. Well, this time he has damaged his shoulder. He's damaged his nose. Okay. All right. Maybe you give him a long layoff, 4 months. But if you don't see him compete 3 times under 240 I don't care if it's in a high school gymnasium against someone that they pulled off the street. If you don't see him fight 3 times by the end of 2013, he has closed the door on his own career. And it's a shame. It's a real shame to see that happen. Tyson Fury, boy, is this a charismatic character, and he's developing so quickly. When you're vocal about your fighting ability, you may get tempted, as has happened before, to mouth off to the MMA people. It's a different game. You have till the first clinch. There's no referee going to separate you. You're going to have to deal with defending against arm locks, leg locks, chokes. Your power could be your disadvantage. They're going to apply their whole body weight versus one of your limbs. Boxing is a distillation of combat handgunning, and it is an important part of MMA, kickboxing, and its own entity. It is important. But don't think that you can roll in that arena without being prepped for it. And you are setting yourself up to be the heavyweight champion of the world. So you have a lot of preparation to do. Like, for instance, if you want to move into, say, the top 6 heavyweights in the world, legitimately, then you're going to have to face the hardest hitter in the division, and that is your countryman, David Haye. You're not yet ready. You could be. You're not there yet. And Haye knows it too. So your developmental curve needs to continue. You need to set that example for yourself and keep the pressure on yourself to be active and to keep up with your learning curve. As for the 2-headed heavyweight king, Vladimir and Vitaly Klitschko, it's toward the end of the run, but last week, Vladimir Klitschko looked as good as he has ever looked. You will not outbox him. You will not outbox him, heavyweights. He can shut down the boxers, the counter fighters, the pressure fighters. David Haye threw hard at him about 5 times in the entire fight. I think if he's not number 1 pound for pound, he certainly shouldn't be below number 3. And with that said, who can beat him? Maybe the guy who shares the living room with him growing up. Maybe it's just Vitaly Klitschko is the only guy. Maybe they're the 2 only people who can face. We have a contingent of talented fighters, and when they talk about the Bum of the Month Club or talk about how easy it has been for the Klitschkos, it's not been easy. They both had an extended learning curve, have extraordinary discipline, work with elite people, and never take time off and let their body or their mind be too far off the task, even with Vitaly's political career. So I think we're looking at the sunset of a truly brilliant era at the top, the heavyweight division. And so that's your heavyweight update. I'm Christian Shreve. Leave your comments below. bestboxingbets.com. I'm Christian Shreve, and I'm here to tell you about why I think you should own my new book, Money Boxing, which is on sale now. Money Boxing has something for everyone, whether or not you know anything about boxing. You're about to receive a backstage pass into a world of glamour, corruption, and intrigue. And you're going to learn about the system, which is the only thing the casinos have had to fear in a long time. You can own Money Boxing by clicking on the link below now. I think you'll like it.